it's funny when someone gets big in a genre you like and you don't quite understand why.
Yeah.
If it's not your thing. Like I know people love, and this is no disrespect to them. They're very talented. Ghost.
Yeah.
But Ghost got me like with the same kind of like it took me forever to get into Kiss as a kid, which I know is a lot of rock people's like first band.
Yeah.
But Kiss, I felt like I grew up with so much of the hype of how evil Kiss was that when I heard them, when I finally was like, oh, let me listen to this music, it's like so cheesy. You know what I mean? Like that. And now I love the music now because I came back to it later in like teen years to be like, all right, well, let me see, you know, as its own thing. It's great. The music. But and it's the same thing with Ghost. Like when I saw all the things and the druids and the evil cell, the songs are pretty bubbly.
Right.
Like, and it just kind of threw me and I never like stayed with them.
Yeah, it's like Blue Oyster Cult, but like with imagery.
Yeah. They're like they're really and we've talked about this on my radio show before, but I always think it's so funny. The Day Evil. I may have even said on Drinks with Johnny. It is so funny when a band like I remember that when I thought of that term was because of seeing Cradle of Filth.
Yeah.
Headline the small stage at Ozfest one year, and just that Norwegian evil like thing they're trying to put forward on stage just doesn't work while there's like birds chirping and people holding gallons of water, also holding like, you know, like novelty flutes of like daiquiri and shit. It's just such not the right scene for it.
Yeah, we were at well, I'll figure out a place to start the show at this point, but we were my wife and I went to see Pantera a couple weeks ago, and they were headlining. But I ended up buying like the fruitiest of fruity drink possible. It was like a $20 daiquiri with, you know, this, that, and the other thing in it. And I'm sitting there like I'm 44 years old, about to watch Pantera, drinking a daiquiri. Like I'm like, what has life come to?
Yeah, pretty wild. Pretty fucking wild. It's really there's got to be some of those people like from Marilyn Manson on. Like it's got to be at night, man. You can't be on during the day outside.
Well, that's what threw me off with you know, you talked about going to see Metallica and Pantera at MetLife, and that was I think a couple of days after I saw them in Indianapolis, and I was like, I don't know about this Metallica stage to begin with. I have tickets for St. Louis. I don't know, like I'm still contemplating if I'm going or not, but like seeing Pantera during the day on that stage, like all the videos I saw, I'm like, I just don't know, man, because I saw Pantera at night, light show, dragons out of the PA, like everything going, like everything you want out of a Pantera show. And then you go see them at the MetLife there, and it's during the day, and Phil's just kind of wandering around that stage, man. So from your perspective, how was it?
They were awesome. I did think it was still pretty great to see. Also, because just so many people were there. You know what I mean? So like them, like everybody going nuts in the stands for them was like, it was pretty awesome. Yeah, I liked it still. I mean, like, I don't know how many times I'm going to get to see them, you know? So like, again, I saw them for the first time on Reinventing the Steel, and then it was over.
Right.
And then, so the fact that, and then I got to, man, what an experience on the, I think it was the first motorboat I did. I was the comedian on Motorhead's cruise.
Nice.
They did. And Kill Devil Hill and Down were both on the boat.
Nice.
And at like 2 a.m. on like the deck of this boat on the main stage, when they were just doing like an all-stars thing for a couple hours, just like a jam session.
Oh yeah.
Phil and Rex came out and did 5 Pantera. It was awesome. That was a pretty cool experience. Then I thought I'd never see that again. And then when they got back together now, it was pretty great for sure. But again, it is like, there's so much like, you know, even when they have like stage production Pantera, it really is all still about like, he gives that energy, you know what I mean? Kind of like that kick-ass energy. So it doesn't really mess. Some people need the show, and like Cradle of Filth, I think needed the show.
And they need that atmosphere.
Yeah. So like, birds chirping isn't really helping when they're like, you know, the guy's wearing, you know, he has like long fingernails and contact lenses in, and you could see him visibly sweating off makeup and shit.
Right. Like wait a minute. You can see all the roadies on the side, like running around back there. You're just like, you know, it's like you're watching them rehearse. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Hey, Ro, why don't you just try to log in on your phone, like just through your phone, not through your laptop? Still not sounding good? Yeah, you're rough, dude.
All right, let's try that. Sorry, guys.
No worries. I've been there.
Fucking blows.
Yeah,
it's the podcast world.
Yeah, we've had two things happen today. We had a 2:00 interview, and we were sitting here talking, and like 2:05 hits, and I send hey, everything okay on your guys' end? Waiting. Oh, management put it in as next Thursday, not this Thursday.
Who was it?
That band From Ashes to newer band or whatever. But it's funny when I see like the SDR show, what you guys put out, like who's on this week. I'm like, yeah, I got all those emails too, or like how many times it overlaps and like, stuff.
Oh, yeah. People doing the rounds for tours or new albums or whatever. Yeah, for sure. I love it though, man. It's so interesting. Like, especially for me, like, I met so many like big comics pretty young,
right?
Starting comedy so young that like that kind of wore off. So it's still neat to get the rush of like, especially if like, God forbid they know who I am.
Right.
Like the musician, you're like, shut the fuck up, dude. That's crazy.
I've been getting that more and more, like when I go to festivals and do the media tents and stuff like that. And like every once in a while, like somebody will be like, hey, Toomey, what's up, man? And I'm like, you know me? You know who I
it's
am?
awesome. Like, shut up, dude. Really?
What is going on here, man?
You're in that band. You guys are Papa Roach. How do you know who I am?
Right.
But it is awesome. Yeah, that's great. It's great. And it's funny, so funny that the personalities of people who like I was able to buddy up to right away and become like friendly with versus just like the people I toured with and also just no interaction.
Yeah.
And the whole like Slipknot, love them. Nothing bad to say about them personality wise. I mean, they just like were happy to have never met me. Like they just kind of, you know what I mean? Like they just never like, not that they would go out of their way, but I mean like, even in passing, I think I was introduced like to them as like the comic hosting the thing.
Nice.
And it was just like nothing more than like, what's up? Move on.
Yeah.
And then, like guys like Korn who like, like you're with us now, which is great. That's such a cool feeling. I think I got to meet Jonathan Davis brought me on his bus on Mayhem Fest with Joey Jordison because he was with Rob Zombie at the time. And Joey Jordison came on the bus. And same thing. He was like, this is Big J, man. Big J's the comic doing this tour with us. And he was just like, great. Moved on. Like, okay. No worries.
I think the thing with like musicians and comics, we always say like we get to go on stage and have the guitar in between us and the fans, or have or 4 other guys on stage to kind of fall back on. And you're up there just you and a microphone and a stool and just
that's the envy. That's the envy give and take. That's the because like we think that it's amazing when you just like set foot on the stage, they go nuts. And the first thing, and I always say it like people yelling back the words that you wrote while taking a shit one day, maybe, you know what I mean? Right. Or whatever, just came to you in the shower.
Yeah.
Or singing it back to you. We love that admiration, like because it's a different kind we get, you know what I mean? Like it's laughs and everything. And I think, if they said musicians always kind of like think it's awesome that it's like there's no crutch. There's no like thing like with music, that is true. You can just go out there and play. If the crowd sucks, they suck, but you can play it. The song, it goes the way it goes. It'll be loud enough that you don't hear them sucking for that amount of time. And you can kind of plow through it. So in comedy, if it's just not going bad right away, it's just sitting it for like in every possible way. You hear everyone saying this sucks or this is awkward or what the hell are you doing? And, we're getting pissed. It's pretty interesting. Yeah,
I've done a couple of live shows here locally, live versions of the podcast. And I set, you set up and nobody knows who you are. And you're basically interrupting their nachos and their beer talk. And all of a sudden a podcast breaks out.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, hey, and you want to be like, hey, I've interviewed this person and that person. And you're trying to win them over. And after a while, you're just like, God, we got to get this over with.
That's what began. That looks way better.
Oh, okay. Cool.
That's what got us into an altercation with 3 Days Grace was just on that was on Shiprock the first year. They asked Legion of Skanks, my podcast, to come on, and they gave us like a set time to do the podcast in this place at this time. We did it. We set it up, and 5 minutes into it, we didn't know who it was. But there's a big, tall guy came over with like makeup on and basically dressed like a pirate in a kilt. It was very strange, but not that strange for Shiprock technically. Right. And like, he came up and we didn't see at first what he was doing, but he was telling us to get the fuck off the stage and whatever. It was just drunkenly, very rudely, just like interrupting the show. So, we're all comics though. So we're just like, shredding this guy. We're like shitting on him. I'm like, fuck off, dude. Like, beat it. And he's like, nobody won. And he kept coming back and then like when he was walking away one time while we were still saying shit, something we said ticked him, and he like came back and threw wine on us. And then nice. We got up and it was a whole thing. There's 12 seconds of it on, I think, YouTube. But and then they split us all up and everything. But it was Barry Stock from 3 Days Grace.
Nice.
Which I've always been like, what a cunt, because as a performer, you know what I mean? Like, even at your like dickiest thing, like as a performer, you do it to another. But that's what I thought was strange about it. And like, he was never apologetic about it. He was always kind of a fuck. But like, you know what I mean? Like, it's an interesting thing on my show. One of my shows, we dig in hard on Corey Feldman and the ridiculous pageantry that is his music career. I love it in the worst way, but I mean, like, I love it. And he like, he hates our guts. But we have, in certain places, we have filled his shows with audience.
Nice.
When he goes perform, and we say very, very intently and overstate on the show. We're like, do not fuck with him. Do not interrupt his show. Don't yell shit out. Don't try to be a hero or fucking funny or anything. I go, just go enjoy the pat because you're liking it ironically, but you're also it's you're liking it, you know, because that's what you do. You want to go see this guy, like, man, he gives 1,000% on 12% talent, man. It's so wonderful to watch.
You know, it reminds me of there was like a hidden camera show. It was like early on, maybe not early on a hidden camera show, but it was early on the internet kind of stuff. And the hidden camera show basis was they found a band that was coming through New York or something like that. And nobody had ever heard of them. And they were playing some, wonky club, but they were like, we're going to fill this place with people that know every word. And they're going to give 100,000%, crowd participation. And the touring band that comes to town has no idea. And it actually turned out kind of sad because because the band gets up there and thinks that they're playing. They're like, oh my God, we're playing New York City in front of 500 people that know every word and they're the biggest fans. And it turns out to be a hidden camera thing, kind of a prank. But that hurts. That's actually not really thoughtful of the performer. You know, it's funny. My ex-wife and a couple of our friends. I mean, this is funny. Yeah, honestly, and to give some context to this, when you start, and the same thing in music, I'm sure. I know there's a documentary about Marilyn Manson and Slipknot that's like this. When you start out, there's people that get like the person who gets it, who gets it kind of early. Everyone else is kind of sour grapes behind. Right. And one of my people was just because I said I started around the same time as it was Mike Birbiglia. Okay, yeah. Oh yeah. Comedian Mike Birbiglia, who's great. Mike's great. It's like, but this is young comic shit, because then he kind of popped, he broke through, and there was something like his sister worked at Comedy Central or whatever the thing was. He's just your guy where, like, in my mind, when you hear like, oh yeah, we're gonna go see Mike Birbiglia on Broadway or something, and you're like, fuck, man, like, really?
Like, get the fuck out of here.
Like, why am I so broke? Yeah, like that that kind of thing. And I remember we were at Outback Steakhouse one night, me, my ex-wife, and a couple of our friends. And I think Nate Bargatze, actually, who's a brilliant comic, was with us on this one too. And I went to the bathroom, and when I came back, the next time our waiter came over to us, he was like, oh my God, he goes, are you Big J? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, no way, man. He goes, I'm such a fan of your comedy. He goes, this is so cool that, oh wow, man, I can't believe I'm like your waiter. Like, this is so cool, man. Like, I'm big, huge fan. And I mean, I was feeling that good. Like, I was really like, oh, this is pretty neat. Right. You know what I mean? Like, this is pretty cool. And then they go, do you know Mike Birbiglia? And then I was like, no. And then I found out that Nate and my ex-wife and everything just told him when I was in the bathroom to pretend to know me, and then also ask me to Mike Birbiglia. I was like, how?
You're like, that's funny, but ow.
Yeah. It's like, it's so great, but I mean, fuck, man.
It felt good for that was the thing. Back to that band, is they were interviewed afterwards, and they said like that was the best feeling they've ever had on stage. kind of like what you're saying, you know, you felt good that, you know, hey, are you Big J?
Yeah.
You get that like rush of like, yeah, I'm Big J. Like, here we are. And then you find out the rug is pulled out from under you at the end.
Yeah, that people don't know.
Right.
Even like some of the best compliments are always like, "I'll give you specific." They're like, "Dude, you're my fourth favorite comic." You're like, which by like, there's a million comics. So you're like, that's good, but it's just like, just say one of my.
Right.
In fact, I'm the only one here. Just say I'm the only one. I'm the only person here.
Right.
That's why it's like, and it's always like all over the place too. They're like, Bill Burr, Gallagher, you.
Gallagher.
Right.
Dude, as a kid, man, I as a kid, like kid, like 8, 9, 10 years old, loved Gallagher. Like
Me too.
He did that whole thing about the map with food and like, you know, just like throwing food at a thing. I'm like, this guy is awesome.
He's really I'd say Gallagher technically is an underrated comedian for what he was. I know he got old and bitter and kind of like, I think, sick, and a couple of things happened. But like when I was young, and the thing, because he was always written off for like the stupid sledge-o-matic, sledgehammer on the fruit. But I mean, the actual, because I would just rent any stand-up when I was younger. I would just rent it from West Coast Video, oddly located in Philadelphia. It was in Philadelphia for some reason, but that was our video play. I would rent anything, and Gallagher hours, like I would just get them. If I didn't recognize the cover, I would just put it as one of the things I would just get. And I thought his comedy itself was actually pretty clever from what I remember. I haven't watched it again in like years and years, but like from what I remember being like, oh, it's actually like funny wordplay, like well thought out.
I wonder
jokes.
if it still holds up. You know?
Yeah, I wonder too, but I just know after a while you're just like, that's the guy who smashes fruit. But it is funny, like, to come into any kind of art and start doing it. Music, I assume, has the same thing. Like when you're starting out, like the people that you think are like what you thought was good, like changes so much.
Right.
And it's kind of the time when you came in. Like I came into comedy at a time where all of his contemporaries were hating on Dane Cook because he was this guy. And I was young enough to be like, yo, this guy murders. Like this guy.
Oh, he was great. When he popped, man, that was, you know, doing the dog shaking off in the bathroom and all that stuff on Comedy Central, man. I loved that stuff.
No, yeah, me too. I think about, so I didn't share that thing. You know, when I was young, I mean, Carrot Top is a guy in comedy that people love to just like fucking Carrot Top and his props with his this and whatever that. But when he used to show up on like Comic Strip Live or those TV shows I got when I finally got cable, like you know, live at the Improv and stuff, I'd be like, oh, nice, Carrot Top. It's gonna be at least pretty good.
Right. Another one of mine was The Amazing Jonathan. Like I loved The Amazing Jonathan.
Oh, he was great.
Yeah.
They make up a couple documentaries came out about him. It was a tragic end for him.
They just did a recent documentary about him.
Yeah, there's like two of them, but he's like I also came into, well, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm a little naive to it, but like I also came into comedy at a time kind of right after the Coke boom. So it wasn't really like put in my face. I never did it anyway, but I mean, like I don't think I would have if it was pushed on me more, but like I just never got into, so kind of lucked out in that regard too. I think a lot of those 80s guys were victim of that. Like they just beat their bodies up and then just stay on the road making money. You know what I mean? Because there wasn't like, you know, it was comedy clubs. People weren't really becoming like theater major. I mean, all that's like a new thing, man. We're like, I mean, right now there's got to be, if I had to guess, 5 to 10, if not a little more, like arena touring comedy acts.
Yeah, I just saw Burn an arena. I was just like,
that's what I mean.
On?
Fucking arena. I mean, Kevin Hart did football stadiums and stuff.
Yeah, right.
I definitely admire the ticket sales and envy the ticket sales, I should say.
Yeah.
But man, I don't want to perform at a football stadium. I mean, I want to try it like once on somebody else's thing or something, but like
right.
For what the way I do comedy to like fucking football. I mean, what's weird is I kind of learned on this Burt Kreischer tour I just did in these big arenas. I can make it work with like camera people and screens, but there is still something for your voice echoing through a football stadium and pointing to a guy 10 feet in front of you going like, what's with that shirt, dude? Like, someone in the 700 level across the stadium. I was like, that's weird, man. That's too much.
You're like, wait, what shirt is he wearing?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Also, anyone that can sell at a football stadium isn't like, oh, you know what? Instead of that, I'm just going to do 70 shows a week at the Improv
Right.
to make that money. You know what I mean? So it's like I get it, but like, wow, it looks.
What year did you start comedy?
99.
Okay.
Yeah, right at the like September of 99, I think it was.
Yeah, that was definitely like it is crazy that you know, like you said, now that there's so many arena comics out there that can sell out, you know, arenas, stadiums, and even the theater comics now are just crazy. Like for years and years, I could go to Zanies in Nashville and see top flight people, you know, but they were still slugging away, you know, 3 shows Saturday, 2 shows Friday, Thursday.
No, and if you knew comedy, you knew you were seeing like these guys who were like in the mix.
Yeah.
But between podcasting and people that figured out social media, man, like. So funny how many comics are like up. I guess it's just I'm older and I've been through enough, but I feel like people older than me and comics younger than me are so pissed about Matt Rife.
Yeah, I know. Like
the
that guy
I'm like,
nowhere, man.
But I know, but I'm also in my mind, I'm like, even if like let's say everything he does is bullshit.
Yeah.
And it really is just chicks like him. That guy wasn't in my way. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, how many people's way was he in? Like just a beautiful guy who's like, you know, and if you think he's a good comment, you know what I mean? Like who gives it's so subjective. Like
it's bizarre how social media can do that. And a big thing right now is that Oliver Anthony, the song, you know, the Northman North of Richmond, in like 3 days that song came from like nothing to like #1 on iTunes to the reaction videos are my favorite to watch, you know, black people, white people, you know, just everybody reacting to it and kind of, you know, it's got some silly moments. It definitely could have taken a couple of extra writers to maybe get out the goofy line about the fudge rounds and things like that. But it's just funny how many people are reacting to that.
I know. But the problem with that, though, is I think people kind of get geared up where they're like, so that guy right now might be feeling like this is how it happens, man. I'm a gazillionaire. And by the way, he might get like $1 million right now. You know what I mean?
Well,
like
he posted that he turned down $8 million because he doesn't want to do, he flat out says, I don't want to do music for a living. I just want to write some songs. And like he's so far supposedly turned down like record
somebody
deals.
Told him to do that.
Yeah, I'm like
that was somebody in camp. That's PR bullshit.
That's like say you turned on 8, so somebody offers 12. You know,
I'll tell you what happened. Yeah, Bad Baby, Catch Me Outside Girl got 14 million, and he heard that and he was like, "Oh, I don't know if it's not really about the money unless you double that money."
Right.
Right.
And by the way, I'm not saying some of these people are super talented and it catches and it becomes a kind of a neat story, but they also kind of go the way of the. You know, I watch like America's Got Talent. Like stuff, and I you know, when I watch the comedians and the thing, like they've walked away from really great comedians, let some really shitty ones through, and they've put through some really great guys. Preacher Lawson's great, you know, Mikey Winfield, those guys both gone through. But like, while it does an immediate boost, but like if it's because you're a young comic or whatever, you still have to like maintain the thing.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? That's why there's been, I mean, what was 3 famous people maybe ever from American Idol in 20 seasons of it?
Yeah, seriously.
I couldn't.
And they're from like the earlier seasons too. It's not even like you had somebody super famous from like nobody's from like season 18 that made it big.
But it's like Carrie Underwood, Kelly Clarkson. Everyone knows who the Clay Aiken kid is. But the next most famous thing I'd say is the fucking William Hung guy. You know what I mean? Like
right.
Like legitimate. I mean, but people like, you know, they just fall off hard on that short little like lived thing. So there's still something good about like, but you know, again, it's like I can't hate anybody who's figured out that path at all. It's funny.
That's what I was gonna ask too. Like when it comes to somebody like Matt Rife, you know, one of these up and coming comics that's become really big. I mean, do you kind of just go like, all right, cool, like good for him, or is that? Does it kind of give you a little bit more like, all right, I gotta fucking up my shit. I gotta really do better.
No, when I was young, it was so much time probably wasted just looking left and right of me, like, what is this guy getting? And I've seen so many people. And then when I learned, like, it's gonna be what it's gonna be, you know what I mean? Like, I do my type of fun. I've also had like apologetically like done it the way I've wanted to do it. You know what I mean? Which isn't like TV friendly necessarily or anything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my thing kind of went the route it was going to go, and then I learned if you're nicer to young comics, which is what I've always tried to be, like when these people also like if some of them fly by you, it's like I never did it thinking of that, but I just remember like by Amy Schumer's generation of people coming up, and I was already kind of working all the clubs in New York. I mean, she zipped by me, but also she put me on her show like 3 times, like not auditioning, just like, hey Jay, do this part on the show.
Come on,
yeah, and like that's like awesome. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't know what the harm, and good for her, man. She figured it out, man. Something like and became a gazillionaire. Like that's what we all want.
Right. I guess you could either be like super bitter about it or just at least trying to be like, hey, let's just support each other and make this thing happen. And hopefully one of you will kind of,
more
and then bring everybody along with you,
I mean, Andrew Schultz. I remember Andrew Schultz just like hanging around open mics and stuff, and like what he's done, and he knows how to work the system, and he's hilarious. You know what I mean? So when you have that kind of thing, like that kind of youthful knowledge on your side of all the social media and stuff, that helps you. But what I take from it more is, I see Matt Rife. They keep saying like the thing that I keep hearing. They're like, oh, Matt Rife, he got famous basically off these crowd work clips. He did these crowd work clips he would have just put out, and TikTok these crowd work clips, and I was like. That I'm great at crowd. That's like the thing I do the most. Right. So I'm like, oh, so now I just like what Matt Rife has caused is me and Ari Shafir, September next Friday, are doing a 2 shows, one night at the Bitter End, just crowd work stuff and just like filming it and clip it up and put it out there. I'm like, oh, is that the thing now? Crowd work. I was like, great. I've been waiting for that to be the thing.
Right. It doesn't hurt either, It's not like you got to go out of your way to do a whole bunch of extra shit out of it,
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. And it's also like he did it with that. I'm like, well, shit, I'll try it like that then. You know what I mean? All right, I'll try the Matt Rife route.
Right. Well, also, I mean, just on the flip side of things too. I mean, just the fact that you've gotten to perform on like Mayhem and like the Motorboat and stuff like that. I mean, like in a weird way, that's almost like cool. Like I don't know. Dude, to me, that's kind of like a fuck, dude. You made it on that.
I've had, especially even when I was making such little money, and when I did those tours, I was making very little money on the tours and just in life in general. Going on those tours was like nerve-wracking because I might have been losing money almost. That I would have made possibly. But I mean, I say this on stage even a lot, man. You have to. It could take so long. I'd say 18 years, 19 years in comedy until I was making money where I was like, oh, I'm at least a regular adult, like
right. I can pay my bills.
But, as long as it happens, it happens. And I'm trying to remember the original point of that. That's the pot.
Oh, yeah. No, just about kind of just you being on Motorboat and Mayhem and stuff, almost like
yes.
Your
I was
own personal success story.
When you're not making money, and I tell this to a lot of younger comics too. I'm like, dude, really enjoy. I mean, my first 2.5 years of comedy. If you told somebody now, they just say you're lying. It's that we were driving up back and forth to New York. I guess my second and third year in comedy. We were driving back and forth to New York every night, 6 nights a week, usually, with me, Keith Robinson, and Kevin Hart. So it was just like our crew of guys. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like me and Kev's lives have gone such different paths, but like, in a sense. But I mean, like that was like my column coming over to play Madden, and then we're going to drive to New York or go do a comedy show together. You know what I mean? And I'm like, those are some of the best stories in the world of those times. Like, and struggling, all of us broke at that time.
Right.
We thought Keith was rich because he could pay his bills at all.
Right.
Like we thought he was like a wealthy man.
Right. He could get gas.
Yeah. He can get gas or at least chip in more than we did.
Right.
This guy's killing it. And I remember younger comics seeing me like that at times that I would have described myself as broke, and they were like, "Dude, you don't have your landlord threatening to kick you out every month." I'm like, "Oh no, not there." I guess.
I guess we're there.
But just like that, those things, like I happened onto. From the time I started doing comedy, I leveraged that into the rock station in Philadelphia. I got them to where they would give me free lawn seats, like 4 lawn seats every Ozfest or thing like that. And I was like, you thought you gave me backstage passes. I was so thankful
You're
for
just
that.
like on the king of the world.
And I just Craig Gass, I'm sure you know Craig.
Yep.
Like I met Craig, and Craig knew all these people backstage at shows, and he would take me backstage to shows, which was again such an amazing treat for me. And then I got a call one day. I had a manager who managed Shadows Fall.
The
Rev Dave Stevens. Yeah. Dave wanted to jump into comedy management, and he picked me up, and it was so great. Our time was so wonderful. It's such a great memory for me, even in the us parting of ways, because it wasn't even spoken. He was my manager for a little bit. Some of the comedy gigs he was getting me were offering me that he was like, I got you this. Were like, he just didn't know comedy, so it wasn't like things where I was like excited to do. I'm like, that's not a good gig.
Like I got to an Elks Lodge gig, and you're like, that's
legitimately. It was legitimately. It was something like, it was like a VFW or something.
Yeah.
Like opening for somebody, and I was like, no, dude. But then in one day, it was 2 phone calls in one day. He called me. He goes, "Do you want to open for Korn, like host for Korn on this, month and a half long, 6-week tour, small venues and blah blah blah." I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." And then he called me like a half hour later and goes, 3 weeks after that, do you want to jump on the Mayhem Fest for 6 more weeks and be like the host of Mayhem Fest? And I mean, I was just like, yeah. I mean, shortly after that Mayhem Fest, he just like never called again. Like I didn't look into it at all. It was just like, I think we knew it was like, that was the thing he was able to do. It was awesome. But like we really didn't have a next step involved together,
That's funny.
But what's great memory. Yeah. I'm like, dude, Rev, because again, those are, I mean, I keep the poster here in my office room here of the Korn Ballroom Blitz, where it's Korn real big, and then 2 Cents, who were the support act who I love. And then below, it's in cursive in green on black. You have to get really close to see in cursive my name, but it's there. It's on that poster. They can't take that away from me. Yeah, I still get like a kick out of that. All these things, man. Like they still seem like bonuses when they had just Kid Rock hosts a comedy thing now every Nashville Comedy Festival, and I did it the last 2 years, and I'm just like, it's Kid Rock, dude. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, right on.
And then when you're there, it's like, by the way, a lot of this is music I like old Kid Rock actually, but like a lot of these aren't even people I know. But when you meet them, it's like Marcus King's there, and like I've become chummy with him. Zach Brown, I think, was at one of these. It's just cool to me. Like, oh man, all these like big musicians.
Dude, that Zach Brown band, that Toes in the Sand, that's a grilling song right there, man. Anytime I'm out grilling, it's like, my wife is like, "Why are you listening to this?" I'm like, "Because it's a good song, damn it."
It's funny. I watched that. I don't know if it's like something about the death of hair metal or something on Amazon Prime's got a 3-part series.
I Want to Rock, I believe it's called.
I Want to Rock. Yeah. That was pretty. That was an interesting fucking thing of how it all just imploded. And all those good.
No, I was just saying, like the big thing they always talk about how, I'm friendly with like Fred Corey from Cinderella and stuff like that, and he was like, "No, grunge didn't kill hair metal. We killed hair metal." Like, and then he listed off all the he's like, "This band put out this album, and this band put out that album," and like it just all got saturated. Well, Cinderella, done.
I think Cinderella were victims. I've said this on many broadcasts too, because I love Cinderella. Victims of a moment in time genre that they were forced to kind of go into. They're a blues rock band. They're not a hair metal band.
Right. Oh, they were a great band.
But
a lot of those bands were like very bluesy,
But then they were like
up in Bandex.
But they were like, they really just were just pumping out like one hit wonder hair metal bands so much because they were just trying to capitalize on a formula. But what I thought was interesting was Ricky Rackman saying, because I don't listen to country at all. Yeah. But they were like, oh, because where do the hair metal people go now? People told me that metal people now tend to go to EDM. Yeah. There's something about the energy of that similar energy, even though it's very different music. Right. So they think EDM took a little bit of the metal, but they were like, the hair metal, like country, the hair metal has gone to country. Yeah. Because it's the last music that no one gets mad when the songs are about, like, she had a big old butt and big fat tits, and everyone's like, fine with it.
Hell yeah, she did. Yeah, that was actually blew me away when I was watching that, and I'm that's actually one person that Ricky Rackman's one person that I've met through podcasting, and like he knows me like by name, and I'm like, that's fucking Ricky Rackman. Like I spent so many nights, so many Saturday nights at home being a loser, watching Headbangers Ball, taping it, watching it through the week, and then it's funny hearing him now talk about. He kind of focuses in on the haters and stuff like that, and I'm like, dude, in my circle, you were a fucking god. But yeah, when he in that documentary when he's talking about Garth Brooks killed hair metal, and I was like, I have never heard that or even thought of that, Ricky.
Yeah, I never thought of it, and he was like, no one blames Garth Brooks for taking over, just because other guys had guitars, they were like grunge shit away.
Like,
grunge did the same thing hair metal did though.
Mm-hmm.
Like grunge, it was like they had the what's the big three, probably be like Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, and Nirvana.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's like the big three. And then after that, it started becoming, not that there weren't good bands in there. Alice in Chains kind of broke the mold a little bit and did it.
Yeah.
That was more kind of a metal-y like sound than I would call grunge. But like it just became a bunch of like knockoff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Big Head Todd and the Monsters. Just like shit, you know what I mean? Like essentially Crash Test Dummies was like branched off of that world, just trying to have everyone having that voice.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we'll kind of tie back into this podcast. I mean, this is obviously kind of a new metal based podcast. And that's the one thing, new metal is such a broad term where you can be Static X, you could be Papa Roach, you could be Slipknot, you could be Crazy Town. You know what I mean? Like there really isn't a new metal sound, but there's like a new metal ethos that kind of keeps kind of binds everybody.
It's music you listen to while you're lifting weights, training to fight your stepdad.
I'm gonna get you, Roger.
Yeah.
Right.
Fuck you, Steve. I don't care if you're fucking my mom. You're not my dad.
You're not my dad, Steve.
Just you see the face, you see the chin coming up over the bar.
Yeah, right.
Actually, you showed your hand tattoos. What are your? I was watching a Dog Belly last night, and I was kind of focusing in on the hand tattoos.
Oh, it's my radio show. So that's the Bonfire logo.
Bonfire,
okay.
Yeah.
And that's the X from the Legion of Skanks logo.
Okay.
The mouth.
Nice.
There. So it's that. But as the guy was putting on the last touch of color, somebody walked up next to me and they go, "You're straight edge?" And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "The X on the hand, that's a straight edge thing." I was like, "Forgot about that. I'm gonna be answering that question the rest of my life."
Yeah, I thought about that last night. I was like, "Is that a straight edge X?"
I mean, people walk up, I'm double fisting weed and a cigarette. Like, are you straight edge? I'm like, "What? Oh yeah, no, that's the old me."
Yeah, right. You got like joints in your ear. You're like, "What are you talking about?"
When CM Punk got beat up in the UFC, I vowed I left it. I left the straight edge program.
I figured it wasn't for me. I broke edge.
We'll talk a little bit about Dog Belly. Obviously, that's the latest special out. Watched it last night on YouTube. Kind of catching back up on it, man. Just kind of going into a special, and obviously, a lot of your stuff is crowd work based. You kind of lead into things, kind of playing off the crowd.
Sure, yeah.
So recording a special and just hoping there are people in the crowd that you can kind of mess with, man. Is that kind of scary to kind of walk into that way?
No, I mean, that was at Skankfest. So, I mean, the problem with that, what I was more worried about Skankfest was people trying to be too involved because they're like the diehard fans all there. But for the most part, like, no, I think when the people come in, like, if I ask enough questions, like, you'll crack through to anybody.
Right.
I mean, I just had a ball in total because I'm like, I'm semi-light on material because I specials out. So, I'm developing new stuff and trying to find new things. I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma last weekend. Do you know if people are 512th Native American, they get all the benefits?
Wow. Did not know that.
Do you know who doesn't love that information? Full Native Americans.
Right.
Well, I'm assuming there's a story there.
There's just civil wars happening in the audience all the time when you'd ask somebody that, and then you'd see real Native Americans like, Mohawks and teepees in the back, like furious that someone there's like a white girl with blue eyes up front going like, "Hey, gonna go back to my teepee."
I gotta go back to the reservation. Do you get a lot of people who are like kind of like when you're in the crowd, they're just like, pick me. Like, do you get a lot of that or? Do people just kind of hang out?
I think the people that sit up front like expect it to happen, but like I think they know at this point too. It's better. Like all I require from you is to just be willing to talk. Like you don't have to like we'll find the funny. Do you know what I mean? Like, but you don't have to like force funny. You know, that's the worst when it slows down, when it's like you know, is this your wife, sir? That's actually our first date. And then like 5 questions later, they're like, no, we've been married for like 20 some years. And goes, what's the point of that? It's like, that's not really, now everything I said is null and void. And don't worry, dude. There's definitely funny things about your long marriage. Like, You're not helping. You're not helping into that. Throwing the head fake. Yeah, it's like you're throwing the head fake. It's not helping anybody. It's just slowing down the process.
Right. Or you just get those people who just talk too much.
Right. The one part of when you were like, you're asking the girl like if she was shaved or whatnot, and you're like, you know, this is the only place you can do that. You know, if you go to a gas station and be like, hey, you know, what's your situation down there? And it'd be like, whoosh.
If you worked at a gas station, what do you want to fill her up, regular or diesel? By the way, your hooch, Furberg or bare floors?
Right.
When you busted into the Michael Jackson special, and you're like the most fucked up part, and I'm like, dude, if he goes to where I think he's going,
oh yeah,
I was like, we agree, man. When when the kids are you know on all fours and stuff, as soon as you said it, I was like, yeah, that is the one takeaway from that whole special that still haunts me to this day.
That, and I do tend to laugh at the lack of responsibility the parents felt.
Yeah,
for what happened when the daily trips, they go, we didn't think anything of it. One morning we woke up and someone came in and said, hey, Michael's flying you to the top of a mountain and wants you to walk home. And then he's going to spend some time with your son.
Right.
You remember you just send him on like adventures like far away. Right. Hey, I'm going to send you guys. Yeah. I'm going to helicopter you guys to Cleveland for a sandwich.
It's the most beautiful thing, sharing your bed with a child. You're like, what are you talking about, Michael? Get out of here.
He was right under. If there was social media, man, it'd all be over.
Yeah.
It would have all been over.
Seriously.
We just seen a picture of his weird wiener.
When it hit the dog belly, what the term dog belly meant in the special, I was just like, Jesus Christ, Big J. Like I was like, oh, that's funny. I like wonder what a dog belly. You know, you like a good rub there or something, and something innocent, and then you're like, oh Jesus, man.
If you notice,
not so much.
In the writing of Dog Belly, like in the logo that comes across the screen, inside the letters is me and Ari Shaffir's dogs' bellies.
Okay, it's
both of our actual dogs. Give you a nice visual on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't have how you can't plan for, and what an amazing gift that poor big guy gave me by his chair just folding in half and bending under the weight.
And he just sat
in
there.
The middle of the
he was
show.
Going to watch the rest of the show. That's a huge compliment to you. That he's just like, I'm just going to sit here and take it. You know, I'm not going to miss the show or stand up or anything. Man.
I know what it was, dude. Ari was really like, he produced it. Ari's one of the producers, and he was really hands on. He was really like, you know, he was nervous for me and trying to make everything perfect and everything. So he was giving everyone such speeches when they said, like, if you're going to sit here, you can't move, you can't get up. You know, we're filming and blah. And the guy went down. He was just going to sit on a pile of metal and wood.
Oh,
he was just going to accept it. I'm like, you can't do that, dude. Like, I can't. Like, you're gonna have to. I know. I hate pointing you out, but goddamn, is that great?
Yeah, that's just and that's like big guy nightmare too, which is just
nightmare.
The chair breaks. You're like, all right, I'm just going to sit this out. Hopefully, he never notices. And then it's all of a sudden on the special. You know, spotlight on him. Everybody around him had to help him get up, and it's just like,
for sure,
sucks, man.
I think it's all you wanted to not happen that day.
Right.
I think
all the things you don't want to happen.
I think Everlast was in the room, the coolest white dude, just watching the fattest white thing happen.
Another new metal adjacent thing that happened. You posted like a short or a reel or TikTok or whatever of you and Jason Zielstra from Nonpoint, and you're kind of blowing up his spot and his lady up front, man. That was a fun video.
Those guys.
Yeah, I was watching that last night too. I just saw them the other night.
Funny. Nonpoint.
Yeah.
I know
That's with Mudvayne and all that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I missed Mudvayne when they came around. That was a bummer. I'd like to see them again.
It really is such a weird thing that like all this new metal in that regard, like the Mudvaynes and the Cold and all that, and the 9 points. It's just that everything is just right back here again. You know, I mean, are you super into all that now? I mean, like
it makes us feel old though, doesn't it? Because like new metal's having like a a resurgence, but it's nostalgia-esque event.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah,
sure.
I mean, well, it's funny because
you're definitely going for nostalgia. That's why they got a package. But when they package, it's great. I really like. I'm biased for sure, but I think Korn. It's fun. It's funny. It's kind of interesting and fun watching them get older. I mean, you're seeing it on them. If you were there the whole time, you see it even from when I toured with them. That's 14 years ago at this point.
15 years ago, right?
So like. Yeah, so it's like you see the age on them is happening, and it's like they're still doing it though. But they still go out there and fucking thump, man. I think Disturbed still goes out there and kicks ass.
Yeah.
Like as long as they put on the show. Five Finger was they go out there and kick ass. It's pretty awesome to see, actually.
Yeah, me and Josh are talking about
Fear Factory's back out again, or Cold Chamber too, I think.
Yeah, all of them. Everybody's coming back.
Cold Chamber's on that Mudvayne show, on that Mudvayne tour.
Yeah.
But I think it's funny because like my brother's 5 years older than me. I'm 48 and I'm still listening to it. But it makes me realize like because my brother doesn't really, he still listens to a lot of hard rock and stuff, but like he's not like in the pit or anything. But like I just think about when we're gonna be older, like we're literally gonna have like wheelchair pits in like the geriatric home. It
almost like the old days when I started comedy in the all black circuit, and this guy named Breakout used to have and I'm 18 or 19 hearing this joke, I guess 19, and hearing this joke for the first time, but it was so dead on, and now it's a reality. He goes, we're gonna have some fucked up oldies when we get older. We're gonna have some really fucked up oldies. You're gonna have your nana wheeling around the home going, put it in my mouth, in my motherfucking mouth. Someone shut down mama.
Oh, quit singing them songs.
We're doing like mystical and shit like that. Like singing, I'm like, that's pretty fucking hilarious. And I'm starting to see that too. That was fun. I went to the 50 years of hip hop concert at Radio City a couple weeks ago, which was awesome. And that was interesting seeing the guys who were like definitely scary. I don't mean on stage. I mean in the audience was like it's aging. Not thugs is the wrong word, but just like hip hoppy guys,
right?
I mean, aging, but like they don't have any more of the angst. Like they're all fine,
right?
You know what I mean? So they have jobs, good jobs, and
seeing seeing Cool Mo D out there. You're just like, really, dude? It's like reminds me of I'm Gonna Get You Sucker when Superfly comes out of jail. He's like still walking around with like goldfish in his fucking shoes and shit.
Well, I mean, they're like, are you worried about? Is that a concert where you feel like you're gonna be the only white people? I go, I don't think we're going to be anywhere near the only white people at a 50 years of hip hop concert.
Right.
And I go, and also like, if it was all black, like we're not going to a Little Uzi Vert show. You know what I mean? Like this isn't like aggressive, like young hip hop. It's like Kid and Play's coming out. Like no one's ever been beat up to a Kid and Play song ever.
Not yet.
Not yet.
That was great though. I got to see Onyx that night. That was
man.
That was my
underrated.
I saw Onyx a couple of years. They were so awesome. I saw Onyx in at the Whiskey out here. I'm actually in the video for Slam when they did it with Biolizard jumping off the stage.
It's fucking hilarious.
The first time the first time I ever stage dove.
I think it's extremely underrated group.
Yeah,
for sure. Onyx. I think everybody started getting the two main guys started getting acting roles because that's what was happening at that point. They were putting everybody in acting roles, especially the Fred Rowe guy was on. I think he was on Moesha for a while. Yeah, like he was so out of character.
I think Sticky Fingers didn't Sticky Fingers play Blade on like a Blade TV show?
Yep, Sticky Fingers was Blade. He's been in a couple things, Sticky Fingers. So I'm saying those guys, and then the other guys in the group are either in jail or who cares?
You're right. Exactly.
There was like two other guys on the cover of that first album. Never again. There was a big light skin guy.
No one's ever seen him again.
And the guy who looked like a human frog.
There was a moment there, like where there was almost like horror rap kind of coming out, and they were kind of fringe that, but then there was like Gravediggers and like some of that stuff too, man.
Gravediggers, awesome.
Yeah.
I love Gravediggers. That was a super group of producers.
Was it?
Is what it was.
Oh.
Prince Paul, the RZA, obviously. I'm trying to remember the name of the other guys. I can't, but like it was all producers. So they just made like they came together with like the greatest beats for those songs. They're an interesting story, man. I love that Wu-Tang Clan stuff is so I love that whole saga. I mean, they really dramatized on that Hulu show.
Right.
They on that Hulu show, they were like, if you believe that Hulu show, somehow Ghostface Killah and Raekwon got over multiple times trying to murder each other's families. Like, I don't think that was true. I'm going to go ahead and say that wasn't true.
I'll never forget when ODB was on. I think it was Cribs on MTV Cribs, and he just he's still living in like this little shithole in Newark. And he just opens up his cabinets. It's just cash.
Yeah.
The IRS just came right after him. They're like, "Good job, dude."
Oh, and then he went and took his welfare card and he went and got groceries with a welfare card.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Yeah, that guy was out of control for sure.
That dude was nuts, man.
You know, it's one of my biggest regrets. Again, this is just like dumb '90s kid. When Rage Against the Machine, the only thing I heard from them at that point was, and it's so funny because I do like the song now also, but the Freedom was the first song that came out and it was on like MTV.
Yeah.
And that song just didn't catch me at first. Neither did, but it's insane what a Tool fan I am and Rage Against the Machine fan I am for how much Sober just didn't catch me for some reason.
Oh, really?
And now I love it. And everything else in their catalog pretty much, you know? But like that song Freedom didn't catch me. And me and my girlfriend went to the first Rock the Bells tour, and then which lasted only 2 weeks before it broke up anyway. But it was Wu-Tang opening for Rage, and we went and watched Wu-Tang, who were so disappointing live. 7,000 people on stage. No one knows what's going on.
I saw him at Lollapalooza. It was the same thing. It was like, did nobody rehearse? Because I don't think you guys are singing the same song anymore.
Man, when I saw them a couple months back, I came up. I go, you feel so bad for the RZA because he starts presenting the show,
right? And
then it just everyone stops paying attention in the group. And you just see in there, it's like, guys, please, can we please just do one practice? There's 9 of us, please. It just seems like he's begging them constantly. But we watched the Wu-Tang Clan underperform, and then when the lights came back on to set the stage up for Rage Against the Machine, me and my girlfriend, she didn't care either. I was just like, hey, man, you want to beat traffic and just split? And we just fucking left.
Oh.
Never saw them again until like whatever it was 5-6 months ago when they were.
Oh, no shit. Oh, that's unfortunate.
What a dumbass,
dude! I saw them at the. I saw them at the
dumb and high. Like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah,
stay anyway.
Yeah,
if you don't love that song, stay.
All right, check out the first 3 songs at least, or something.
Yeah, maybe you dig the vibe.
Right? Oh, that's the worst too. That's the the David Tell, you should have stuck around, man.
Yeah, well, the first album, Killing the Name of's on the first album, right?
Yeah.
So it's like they would have gotten to that, and that's an undeniable first time you hear it, you're like, this is epic.
Yeah.
So if I would have just gotten to that, you know what I mean? Like, what a dumb thing to leave for. Traffic.
Let's get out of here. I remember seeing the Freedom video for the first time on MTV, and I was at my grandparents' house, and I remember kind of the same thing you're talking about. I was like, what is this noise? You know, I'm like 13 years old. Like, this is just a bunch of racket. You know?
I had the same thing with the initial. I think it's the political stuff initially when you're a kid too.
Yeah.
But like, I ended up loving. I think System of a Down's great, but I mean, like when I'd see them in concert live, and in between every song, he's like, the Armenian government is suppressing. Like, please just sing the song. It's enough.
Yeah, right.
Like, I can't do anything. I'm 17.
Right. I donated already. I gave it to the office. What do you want from me?
I can't stop Armenian genocide.
That was a big thing.
I bought a BMW last week. What do you want from me? How else do I donate?
That was a big thing with the Christian metalcore scene there for a long time, because you would go and see you're like, man, this band is fucking pummeling, and then all of a sudden they're like, all right, now pull out your Bibles. I just want to say real quick, John verse 3, and like they would give a sermon in the middle of the show, and I'm like, I am not here for this.
You're right.
This at all.
That was funny. When Ray Luzier from Korn, drummer, when I was on a first tour with them, he would just get a glass of wine and hang out outside, and I would like smoke cigarettes and bullshit with him at night.
Yeah.
And you're like, why? He goes, he just got, luck of the draw. He just got put on the Bible study bus. It was like the Fieldy, and Ed wasn't in it at that. He wasn't there at that time.
Okay.
But it was Fieldy's bus. But he had like a crew around him. That of just guys that were there to like do Bible study. He was like, it is not a fun bus. He goes, if they think you're listening to porno in your bunk, you're going to be removed.
I've always thought Ray looked out of place in that band when it's like everybody had their long dreads, and that was even Fieldy had the dreads at the time, and Monkey had the dreads, Jonathan, and then you got Ray with the short hair, but he's also got some eyeliner on. He kind of he always looked like the guy that like just switched from jock to goth. And I'm like, well, maybe one day he'll fit in. He still looks that way to me.
Dude, he's an unreal drummer.
Yeah, but that dude's a beast, man.
Yeah,
he's so
that
good.
dude's a fucking beast.
Yeah, it was funny. I went.
Yeah, but I remember just like being on.
Go.
I'm sorry. No, go for it, dude. I was gonna say that I was on tour with Superjoint, and Phil would do that constantly to the point where you were just like, "Fucking play a song, dude." Just be like, "Fucking the metal press," and you just be like, "Dude, come on! Like, I only have so much time, bro." You know.
We just went over on our radio show because when we were going to see Pantera, or like when you do like the Phil Anselmo's questionable racist rants, and it's just always like they always just start the best. It's like, look, we don't hate anybody of any race, creed, or blah blah. You're like, uh-oh, here it comes. but and then we played the thing where he was at the Dime Fest thing, and he like hailed Hitler and said white power, and then he said,
I was there.
He's like, it's a joke about white wine, and then his apology video is the best.
Yeah,
it was so ugly.
Worst excuse ever.
Yeah, that's the thing. We were laughing because he goes, we were backstage. It was an emotional evening. Emotions were high. We were remembering Dime. He goes, and then what? He goes, next thing you know, we're hailing Hitler. We yell white power. Same old story. You've all been there 1,000 times.
Yeah, every time you start thinking about your old friends, you just gotta, you get sad, you get in the cups, and the next thing you know,
I think he's a guy who doesn't think there's cameras on him at all times. I don't believe Phil Anselmo to be any more of a racist than any average human being. Do you know what I mean? Like, I really don't. I just think he just talks too much. Like, he's just talking. Stop talking.
Way too much.
It's like, man,
that's what happens a lot. It's like it's like drunken points. You know what I mean? You're like, I know. I hear what you're trying to say. I hear you.
Yeah, right.
Why are you going to die why die on this hill? Which, by the way, he knew not to. He just cranked out an apology quick. It was ugly. You should be upset.
The funny thing was that he did that at the very end of the show, and everybody in the audience was so over the show. We were like, we want to fucking go home. So we had to tell one of the other guys in the band, like, dude, get him off the stage because he's just not shutting up. And what we all saw was him kind of doing this thing where it was like, not Hitler, but more like, hey, from the heart, man, like, thank you, good night. And we all just left. Nobody thought anything of it until that video came out the next day, and we were like, wait, we were all there. He said what? Because by then we were all tuned out. Like, we just didn't care anymore.
By the way,
so it's like after that video made it.
I said that makes me laugh too, because I was gonna kill me one thing. I'm a big when people say, big fan or something like that, or I'm meeting me afterwards, I'm very hand on the heart, like, oh, that means so much to me.
Right.
I feel like if I do that followed up by a goodbye, I'm done.
Yeah,
I have to show everybody my menorah. I'm going to pull my menorah out.
Right. It's like hailing a cab in New York. You're like, really?
That was it. That was great in the special too. Is like when somebody calls you a Nazi and you're like, I'm Jewish. And they're like, oh, so just because you're Jewish, you can't be a Nazi? And you're like, that's kind of the main thing.
That's sort of how it works.
Yeah, because that seems to be their number one objective, is to keep Jews out.
Right. Yeah, right. We don't like any Jews except for that guy. He's okay.
That guy's all right.
That guy's all right.
Well, man, we've kept you for an hour, and I'm gonna let you go on that one, man. But this has been an absolute blast, man.
Thanks. Yeah, we appreciate it, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, and once Rose Wi-Fi gets fixed.
Today.
You're in Indiana?
Los Angeles.
Yes, I'm like right out.
But he's in Los Angeles. Yeah, he's in.
You're in Indiana though, Josh, right?
Right outside Louisville, yeah.
Oh, outside Louisville. Okay, I was gonna say I'm in Indianapolis. I'm in Indiana.
Indiana. It's not too. It's a couple hours away. When are you going to be in Indianapolis?
End of September. I think end of September. Yeah, September like 24th, 5th, and 6th. I think.
I think that might be Louder Than Life weekend, if I'm not mistaken.
No, let me know if you see it though. And if you want to come, and I'll make sure they roll out the red carpet for you, and I'll see you out in LA, dude, for sure. Thank you guys so much.
Absolutely, man. So
absolutely,
people follow you, man. Make sure to keep up with you, all that good stuff.
BigJComedy.com's all my dates, all my socials are on there too. It's at Big Jay Oakerson and everything. Dog Belly for free on YouTube. Check it out. And some crowd work stuff coming soon. I'm coming for you, Matt Rife.
You do some sit-ups,
right?
Yeah, I'm coming for that title, dude. Just like with extreme surgeries, sort of a Chinese spell of some sort.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, for new pod here, notfest.com. Once again, man, Big Jay Oakerson, thanks for taking some time with us.
I should also, I'm such an idiot too. I should say Bonfire, of course, on Faction Talk Series XM 103 with me and Robert Kelly. It's also available where you get podcasts, Legion of Skanks and the SDR Show, both podcasts. Check them out if you like podcasts.
Yeah.
We'll leave it there, man. It was actually funny. I reached out to your people and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna get Big J on, and then I started diving more into all the other shows you've done. I'm like, man, he is gonna be slumming it with us.
No, dude, this was fun, man. Thank you guys so much.
It's good times, man.
Take care, brother.
Thanks, man.
See you.